Happy Father's Day, everybody, and welcome back to Cure for the Common Game. Today, we're going to talk about Cromat. Now, Cromat, we don't have a whole lot of like 5-color legends, well, at least right now. In the fall, we're getting more. But anyway, Cromat's one of the old school ones, and he is as 5 color gets. I mean, all of his abilities are enemy pairs. So he kind of does everything. I wish the +1/+1 was counters, but anyway, what I did with Cromat was they've revisited a mechanic or effect a couple of times called Domain, and I really wanted a Domain EDH deck. Powerful, it is not, but it is definitely some random. And where else are you really going to play with your Domain cards? So to illustrate the Domain, I will, here, let's go through our instance first. Evasive action, it is a days for each basic land. So if you've got all 5, which that's the goal, is we're going to have all 5 basic land types. Now, keep in mind, I'm using straight basics, all basic lands. The only non-basic land I'm using is the Ash Barrens to smooth it out and get whatever one I need. Now, the way Domain works, though, is it will work if you've got what I call fancy duels, the original duels or the Rav duels, or even the battle ones that actually have the 2 basic land types, your island swamps or whatever. However, all of the land fetch that I have goes and gets regular basics. So, well, I think one of them, speaking of land fetch, obviously, we'll go ahead and cover that. Harrow, Farseek, Rampant Growth, Kodama's Reach. Now, some of the ones you may not think about. Seek the Horizon in this deck particularly is really good because it can get you one of each. I mean, obviously the deck leans a little heavier to the green. Most 5-color decks do because, I mean, 5-color green's been a thing since the 90s. But green is your mana fixing color. I mean, we all know that. Shard Convergence is really, really neat because it gets you 4. It doesn't get you the forest. I guess they figure, well, you cast this card, so you've already got the forest. So it goes and gets you 4 lands. So that's neat. Gaea's Balance, if you're just drawing heavy green or heavy one way or another, you can sack 5 lands and go get Domain and put them into play. So that's neat. Elfhame Sanctuary is it replaces your draw, but it can get you a land a turn. So that's my mana fixing, or my land fixing rather. So we'll go back to we have ourselves a Giant Growth. Now, when I'm talking about these, I'm going to assume that we have all 5 in play. So 1 mana for a +5 Giant Growth, not bad. Here we have a 3 mana for a effectively -5. Worldly Council is a impulse for 5. Dominar's Judgment. Yes, that's you can get all the protections. Now, Planar Despair can potentially wipe your board. -5 to the board, not bad. Voices from the Void. You're discarding land. Exotic Disease. Trump the Domains. Now, way back, they didn't actually have Domain keyworded, and it really, even when they keyworded it, they still had to spell it out. So it's one of those things. I guess it's just kind of like a marker. 5 mana, 5 cards. This is not particularly strong, but, it's what we got. All Sun's Dawn is, the regrowth of Doom. Spore Burst, Tribal Flames. Now, Channel the Suns is a good 4 for 5 because it gets you perfect domain mana. And while that doesn't fix your domain lands, I did run an inordinate amount of actual 5 color cards. We'll get to that in a second. Global Ruin. Late game, you can blow up everything but your domain, and you're fine. And then you can just planar burst to get your shit back. Now, let's go through some artifacts. We have Commander 16 got us the Prismatic Geoscope, which instantly went into the deck because it is, tap to add 5 mana. So it's a beautiful thing. Mana Force Mace. The Kaleidoscope is also a mana fixing. And once you got it, a Fist of Suns, you can cast anything for the domain mana. Now, Battle for Zendikar gave us the Converge cards, which are a lot like domain. It doesn't check your lands, it checks the color of mana you spent. So, Radiant Flames is going to deal 3. Painful Truths is going to draw you 3. Exert Influence, 5. And, of course, Bring to Light. You're going to, Now, let's see here. We still haven't got the creatures yet, have we? Skyreach Mantra has Sunburst. Here again, it checks the mana, not the land. Sunburst is a real close, I guess, cousin of Domain. Mikado Riders. Oh, my alarm's going off. It's time to wake up, guys. Wandering Goblins. Sun Crusher. Lunar Avenger. Y'all know we gotta have Draco. Draco was one of the first cards that really pushed the domain into people's eyes. You know how they have the splashy rare that you gotta have. So if you've got domain, this guy costs 6 for a 9/9 with no upkeep. So it's a 9/9 flyer. Now, granted, he doesn't trample or do it, but he's, and there are a few cards out there that deal with mana costs. We're not playing any, but yeah. I think Draco has the highest printed mana cost of any card in Magic, because Emrakul, Eon's Thorn is 15. So, yeah. The Composite Golem, we can sack to get our domain. Etched Monstrosity. Wood Elves is going to get us a forest, which to Wood Elves, probably is not amazing in this deck. Once I get some more cards, whatever, Wood Elves will probably get replaced because, let's face it, I already have the forest, or I wouldn't be casting the Wood Elf. The Wanderer. Trailblazer, he'll have a 2/5. And back in 5th Dawn, there was a cycle of creatures known as the Bringers. And they were all 9 mana. They were all 5/5s. It was one of the early, quote-unquote, Titan cycles. And they were all 9 mana. They were all 5/5. Or you could play the domain mana to play them. And they all trampled as well. So they were really close to a big precursor to the Titans. But then they all had this awesome upkeep ability. But since it does have the domain cost in there, their color identity is all 5 colors. So you can't really run them in a lot of decks. So that's why I'm running them here. Now, the Bringer of the White Dawn, a lot of people run with Mindslaver because it is sick and disgusting, and you can Mindslaver lock one person. Although Mindslaver locking one person, until you've killed them, and then you Mindslaver lock another person until you kill them. But it's pretty sick and disgusting. I don't have a Mindslaver in here. It does not fit my theme, even though I am playing with the Bringer of Dawn. Blue Dawn, you know, upkeep drawing 2. This is not bad on a 5/5 body. And yeah, that's a vampiric tutor during your upkeep. So there was also a cycle in Shards of Alara. Now, I'm not playing with the red one, only because I don't own a red one. But there was a cycle of sorceries in Shards of Alara that was, we're going to start with the absolute, probably the worst one first, called the Ultimatums. And the Ultimatums, some of them get played, some of them do not. Like 3 of them get a lot of play. Brilliant Ultimatum, I got to read the card. I mean, nobody plays it. But they're all 7 mana. Shards of Alara was all about the 3-color shards. The center color was 3 specific. So you got a 7 specific mana card. So these don't really find their way into a whole lot of decks. Also because they're either really good or like this one. And I figure with this deck, we're going to have it. The Clarion Ultimatum as well. Now, Cruel Ultimatum was the very first one to get ridiculously popular. Everybody was like, oh my god, this is crazy. If you've ever cast and resolved a Cruel Ultimatum, there's a certain wow moment. Even when you're the one casting it, you're like, dang. Now, Violent Ultimatum, super simple, but Triple Vindicate? Wow. And then one of my personal favorites, I'm just dropping stuff here, is the Titanic Ultimatum, which is like, you know, you think you spend 7 colored mana on a spell, it should win you the game. Well, a lot of them don't immediately do, but they swings the power level so much that it's like when somebody mind twist you for 5 and you lose 4 turns later. You realize that whatever creature that killed you is not what lost you the game. You lost the game 5 turns ago when you got mind twisted. Mind twist is what won the game. Anyway, and like I said, we are 5 colors, and I think we all have a stack of Obelisk of Alara laying around. I probably got 20 or 30 of these jokers, but we just don't get to play with them because it's a 5-color artifact. Now, it does do all the things in minor portions, but I've got it in there because it is all 5 colors. Now, Legacy Weapon, yeah, this had to be in there. And then Door to Nothingness, because, you know, reasons. Why not? It's a 5-color artifact. Also have Genju of the Realms. I love it because, well, all the rest of the Genjus, they avoid a certain amount of board wipes because of, you know, it's only a creature when you want it to be. So instant speed board wipes is not a real common thing. Not a lot of people play them. So on your turn, you can, you can get your 8/12 Spirit and you can bash face with it. At the end of your turn, it's an enchantment. So, and then if they blow up the land, hey. And of course, you know, Fusion Elemental, because he's my stack's getting up so high you can't see his power and toughness. He is just a vanilla 5-mana 8/8. By the way, I believe speaking of vanilla, I know Morrow was talking about there's a vanilla mythic in the file about a month or so ago. He just shut off that topic from his blog, so I'm thinking that means it's coming out soon. Either this set or an Ixalan. I bet we see the vanilla mythic. And then, of course, we have Last Stand. Now, Last Stand suffers from the common problem known as 7-line syndrome. If you look at a card and it's got more than 7 lines, you probably just don't read it. Now, here again, Last Stand, it can swingy. It does, there again, all the things in minor portions. Well, that is what I have got for Mr. Cromat Domain. He's the man. I do appreciate you watching, but right now it is time to shuffle and cut.